Welcome to a special edition of the NWI.com Political Roundtable. It's Wednesday, September 25th. I'm Robert Blaskowitz, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times. Joined with me today, Krista Zivanovic, Assistant Managing Editor of The Times, and Doug Ross, Times Editorial Page Editor. We're coming to you today from the Radisson Star Plaza, where we just finished up the One Region luncheon, which featured Mayor Richard Daley speaking to the crowd. Very interesting presentation. It started off with a very interesting, really kind of spirited speech by U.S. Representative Pete Visclosky. You want to talk about what he said there?
Well, I think it was one of his best speeches ever. It was talking especially about two things, and I want to make sure that we're distinct that they are two separate things, on recapitalizing the South Shore and on extending South Shore service. Recapitalizing means, what I think it means personally, is you're going to have to put in a double set of tracks so that you can pick up the speed of those trains. Currently they're running about 30 miles an hour, which is pretty much a standard for the industry, but if you're talking a 90-mile run to South Bend, at least to Michigan City, you're going to have to put in double tracks, another set of tracks, so that you can get those trains going faster. That means, they have the right of way to be able to do that. I was talking with Jerry Hannes, the general manager, about it yesterday. They have the right of way. One of the issues will be the bridges, because at the bridges, obviously you'd have to replace the bridge. So you're talking a lot of money, and you're talking trying to figure out the capacity to receive additional trains once they get to Chicago. I mean, Millennium Station's pretty well full up right now, so you're going to have to do something to either take them to a different station or something to be able to get the capacity for these trains. But it's a powerful. Well, Krista, you could probably speak to the Pied Piper.
Yeah, it was a very impassioned plea, really imploring the region to get together and invest in particularly this transportation infrastructure.
And one big point that he made was, and I can speak to this because my son lives in Chicago, and the other son for a while lived in another urban area that had public transportation. More young people are eschewing cars, they are using public transportation, and he spoke to the loss of population in the area, especially Lake County. While the rest of the country has expanded up to 40% of their population, we've lost 9%. And most of that is young people, and that's to the brain drain. We educate them here, we give them superb educations, and then they leave because they have more opportunities, better pay elsewhere, especially in Chicago. And he also, as far as recapitalizing the South Shore, I know that the Times has done stories in the past talking to mayors, public officials along a proposed line, not just to Dyer, but the South, Lake County and Porter County line. And I think that it's time I think our region has changed enough in population that there would be more receptivity. Of the 400-some million that would be needed to extend those lines, the federal government will pony up half. And I think Representative Visclosky was trying to let everyone know of the urgency. We're going to lose that money if we don't figure out a way now. He said all of the taxes we pay on our gas now goes to urban infrastructure in other cities and not our own region. And if we want to keep our young people here and we want to help our economic development flourish, because along every metro train line in Illinois from the city it has, we are going to have to really do something about this seriously and urgently and now.
And he's been talking about this issue for more than a decade, and it's obvious that his patience is worn out. He wants something done.
Well, and he wants something done by March 31st, 2014. He wants a commitment by the General Assembly to the additional funding that's going to be needed for this. Now, that's going to be a little tough because, as we know, the long session was this year because that's when the budget is crafted. Don't look for this to be, coming out of that budget. We're talking an additional tax that's going to be necessary here. Now, when you'll recall when the RDA was created in 2005, the same legislation also created or paved the way, basically, to the construction of a new stadium in Indianapolis. Now, that was funded through a food and beverage tax, I'm not saying that's necessarily what will happen here, but food and beverage tax for Marion County and the collar counties, and that was created by the State General Assembly rather than by each county. So if you're looking for a decision, I think you're going to have to be looking for the state legislature to make that, because this goes beyond one county.
Now, the keynote speech today was given by former Chicago Mayor Richard Daley. He was introduced by Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, introduced him as a mentor, and he's someone that she's worked with in terms of trying to revitalize Gary, working with him and the University of Chicago. And Mayor Daley spoke a lot about not just Gary and urban areas, but he spoke internationally. He talked about Bilbao, Spain. He talked about Shenzhen, China. These areas that are experiencing great growth and revitalization of their urban areas, and how the kind of lessons that we can learn from them.
And he also spoke, which I found very interesting, about the vision that these areas had. He said in the world, the United Nations projects by 2020, we are going to have several cities with populations of 16 to 30 million in China and elsewhere. And their federal governments are putting money into creating new infrastructure and quality of life for these areas. And I couldn't help but think, and Mayor Daley was very impassioned about how we need to get our vision back. We need to get our mojo back. And he talked about public-private partnerships. He does not think that's dead. He said he acknowledged you just can't keep raising taxes. You need to get the private sector involved and excited about improving our infrastructure, helping our education institutions. And I couldn't help but think about the fight that's going on in Congress right now with the non-filibuster by Ted Cruz. And I thought, where is our vision? I feel like we have lost our vision and our self-confidence as a nation. We keep harping on, many of our politicians keep harping on shrinking the federal government. And I think that while we do need to look at our costs and what we spend, I think the focus should be less on shrinking our federal government, but maybe also spending more wisely and investing in our own country and our own citizens and working globally and internationally and parlaying our assets. Mayor Daley mentioned our ag universities and the Big Ten in the Midwest. We are the envy of Russia and China, whatever their governments are fighting about our government with. The people, the academics, the professionals, the business people, the industry look to us for guidance because of our superior knowledge. We need to parlay that and get our confidence and our groove back. And that was what former Mayor Daley's impassioned speech was. And I would like to exhort all of us to rethink our attitudes.
He also talked about our natural resources and sustainability, and talked about Lake Michigan being an amazing natural resource that we have right here. The importance of fresh drinking water, that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely. And, going to Krista's point about shrinking the federal government, the effect of that is you are enlarging the state and local governments. And so, what we need to do is have the vision to look at the big picture and see, what it is we want to accomplish, how we want to accomplish it, and then, frankly, fund it appropriately. We've gone into a lot of debt. That's got to be dealt with, but we also have to be spending smart. And that's what Daley's talking about. We've got to, and he's a guy who, don't forget, he's a man of action. As Dennis Rittenmeyer, the One Region Executive Director, pointed out, he's the guy that sent the bulldozers to Mixfield and said, "I'm tired of talking, let's act." He bulldozed Mixfield, and now it's Northerly Island. It's a totally different place without those airplanes there. Now, he's the guy who's a man of action. He's partnering in a number of things in Gary, including among them, as he's talking about leveraging resources. He's, got students going out to inventory, thousands and thousands and thousands of abandoned buildings, so that once that inventory is built this fall, hopefully they'll have it completed. Then comes the work of demolishing that building. So it should be a good project, and that's the sort of thing we should be doing more of.
Yeah. Well, it was a fascinating event. We hope you'll look at NWI.com and the Times edition, the Thursday edition of the Times for full coverage. We'll have video. We'll have all the coverage of that event. So we thank you for watching this week, and we'll be back next week with another Political Roundtable.